Hello and welcome to this video on writing an algorithm using Flowgorithm. Flowgorithm is a very useful tool for designing and making algorithms using flowcharts. And so this is our first video in a three-part series. And in this video we're going to install Flowgorithm on our computer, and we're going to explore how we can use variables, inputs and outputs and selection, and we're going to write a simple algorithm using an if statement, and then we're going to export the flowchart we've made into another, so we can use it into another document, and then we're going to have a look and see what we can do to produce some source code like Python or even pseudocode. Okay, let's go on over and let's download Flowgorithm. Over in Google we can do a search for Flowgorithm, and the first result should be the website, Flowgorithm website here, and as you can see there's got so much information on here. We've got a lot of documentation on how to use the different aspects of Flowgorithm, and also we've got the download here for the main program itself. So here we are. If we want to download the 64-bit version, most of us are using 64-bit Windows already. So if we go to save file, and it will save it in your downloads, and if we go over to the actual file here, we'll find that it's in a compressed folder, and if we highlight both of those files and we copy them, what you want to do is you want to copy these to a convenient location where you can actually run them. So go over to your desktop maybe, and then paste them into your desktop, and then click on the install file here. And as you can see, I've already got Flowgorithm installed on my computer, so I won't install it again, but let's go on and see how this works. I've just started Flowgorithm, and as you can see in the middle here we've got the beginnings of our flow diagram, and this is the main part, and it starts at the top and ends down the bottom here. If we want to add any component to our flow diagram, we just simply need to click on the line there, and we have a menu of different items that we can add to the flow diagram. So we can add inputs and outputs. We can add various things that will do things with variables, like declare them, assign them, and we can add different control structures like if statements, while loops, for loops, do loops, and of course we can call other functions as well. So let's start off by doing a simple algorithm, one that I like to use for teaching the if statement and how selection works. So in this algorithm we're going to imagine that we are a barman, and how to respond according to someone's age. So if a person's old enough to drink alcohol, we can offer them alcohol. Otherwise we would have to tell them to go away. So let's start by putting an output here, and of course the barman will say hello, and we're going to ask how old are you. Notice here that I'm adding this with the speech marks around, so that tells the computer that it's going to be a string, and if I press OK, so hello, how old aren't you? Now what I need to do is I need to declare a variable to get ready to store the age of the person. Okay, so if I type in age, and of course age is going to be an integer because it's going to be a whole number, but we can always use different variables if types if we want to. We can change it to a string or boolean variable, but let's keep it as an integer. Now I've got my variable, And what I want to do is I want to input that to the variable. So if I use an input component there, if I double click on that, and it says enter the variable name. So the variable name here is age. So now the algorithm now has stored the age in the variable age, and what I need to do is I need to get the computer to make a decision, and to do that I add the if component here, the diamond here in the middle. And so we've got, helpfully it says here true or false, and we've got to think about the condition that we need to use. If we double click on the if diamond, we can add that conditional expression in the middle here. So here in the UK you need to be at least 18 years old to buy alcohol. So let's say here age is greater than 17. So because we're dealing with integers, any number that's greater than 17 will be 18, so they will be entitled to buy alcohol at 18. So if we press OK, and now if we click on the true part here, or the line that comes out of the true part here, we can then add an output, and then we can change the string that's going to be outputted here. So let's type in how can I help you? Okay, and we press OK, and that's what's going to happen if the age is greater than 17. On the other hand, on the false part here, what will happen if the number is not greater than 17? Then we're going to output the statement here, go away. Okay, so our barman is quite an abrupt person and says go away. Press OK. So now here is our very simple algorithm, and what we need to do is we need to test it out. So testing is a very important thing to do. So if we press run, and if we then answer the question here, so how old are you? Let's test this out. So 18, press enter, and it says how can I help you? Okay, so we need to run it again and see what happens if we put an age which is lower than 18. Let's say 17. If I press enter, and it says go away. Excellent. So we've tested our program a little bit here. We can see that it's running as expected. Another great way of debugging and seeing what these sorts of programs or algorithms do is by looking at the variables, so what's happening to the variable as we're going through. And so let's run this again. So it's at the beginning, it hasn't been initiated yet. So how old are you? I type in my age, so 18 there. And how can I help you? It says. So here we can see our variable is got the value of 18 there. Okay, so let's close this down. Let's close it down. So imagine this is my finished algorithm, and I can do a couple of things. I can export this to a program where I can use it in a document for an assignment. So if I go to Tools, and if I go to Export an image file, so that will produce a image that can be used in a document, simple like Word, for example. If you're using a vector graphics tool, then I recommend exporting using the vector graphics file part here. Okay, so let's export this to an image. We can change the color schemes here. We can do a lot of other things, but let's just simply create it. And we go over to somewhere here, so it's going to create a PNG file, which we can use in a Word document. Okay, so if I go over to save, and I'll show you how this is used in Word. Okay, so here I am in my document, and I can go over to insert, and I can insert the picture that I've just made. So if I click on the main part here, and here we are. This is an image file, and as you can see, it's quite colourful. You can also change it so that it's not so colourful if you don't need the colour. This is a PNG file, so basically if you scale it up, it's not going to look as good. But if you want to make it look good, you can use the SVG file that we used before. So the SVG file will look much better if it's scaled up to make it bigger or smaller. Okay, so PNG won't scale as well, but the SVG will do. Let's go over and let's go back to Flowgorithm, and let's see what we can do with our algorithm here in terms of making pseudocode and also making some programming. So we can actually get Flowgorithm to make some Python code. And so to do that, we go to source code here, and as you can see, I've already got it set to Python. So it's already made the Python here, and it's we've got the print statement, we've got the age, we've got if age is greater than 17, perfectly good Python there. So I can see this being very useful for anybody who's learning to program in Python to start off with. It might be a bit more complex for bigger programs that use multiple functions, but for any learner it's going to be very helpful. And as you can see, Flowgorithm has got lots and lots of different types of programming languages, and they're all very useful. And but the most useful part here at the end here is the pseudocode. And there are different types of pseudocode that we can use here. We've got this one, and it's really important just to look at the subtle differences between the different types of pseudocode. Here we can see that it says end if, and here we can see we've got your function there, and here it just says end, so not end if. And so it's recommended that you have a look at the guidelines you've been given for your type of pseudocode to see if these types of pseudocode actually agree with those guidelines. Okay, so I hope that this video has been useful and introduced this very useful piece of software called Flowgorithm to you, and hopefully this will be useful for any assignments or work that you do in Python or any other programming language indeed. So it will help you in your learning by helping you develop your computational thinking skills. Okay, thank you. And the next video that I'm going to make will be introducing things like loops into our algorithm here. So we're going to use loops to make a math quiz. Okay, see you in the next video then.